fam, it's Christine and Patsy here, and today we are continuing our conversation on the expansion of yoga lingo. So common yoga words you may or may not hear in a yoga class that you're potentially confused by or curious and would like to know a little bit more.
Yeah, we're really excited to give some clarity because sometimes just hearing the Sanskrit words can be really intimidating and even making you not want to go to class when you hear them. So they're really simple and it's just a different language. So we'd like to explain just a couple of them.
Yeah. So one that we find to be spoken to, maybe the word isn't necessarily said, but the practice of it is happening in class, is the word mudra, which often you'll see, or the teacher will say, bring your hands and hands to heart center, or what the teacher says is Anjali Mudra, which is a position of bringing your palms together in front of your heart. And the mudra is working energetically with your hands first and foremost. So positioning your hands in specific and intentional ways to create new patterns of thought, sending forth new vibrational energy into the body, and to connect hand and mind and heart all together.
Yeah, the hands really do send a message to the brain. They're said to be the strings of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we open up, I'm ready to receive and I'm ready to give, come in for a hug or, closing the arms, folding them. It's, I'm really closed off and I do not want to hug. Like, please don't come near me. And it really sends a message to the brain. We've talked about even just body language sends a message to the brain. But yoga philosophy really takes this mudra into a different element of really what symbolically what it will send to the brain and what it represents.
Yeah, they oftentimes you'll do the mudra, the hand positions, in correlation with meditation, and then not only, but generally speaking, and it is an act of slowing down and trying to drop into that moment a little bit more deeply, with more focus, with more emphasis, to clear the mind from any external disturbances or chatter, you could say. So it's just another additional tool to utilize to direct your attention to be more focused.
Yes. And mudra, the translation is very simple. It's just gesture, what we do with our hands.
Yeah.
Just where do I gesture? But something I find really fascinating is that yoga philosophy tends to think that there's 5 elements and each finger represents a different element. Yes. So our thumb is fire. And this is also our universal consciousness. So where we place our thumb is really big, really important. As well as index finger, that's going to be air and our individual consciousness. So, whenever we connect the index finger and the thumb, we're thinking about connecting that air and fire, make a really fiery, powerful presence. But it also represents our consciousness, our individuality with the world we live in, with this universal big consciousness. So it's really beautiful. The middle one is really interesting. This is actually said to represent this place above us, this place of view, this place that is in the ethers. And they said that that's one of the elements in our yoga philosophy. So something bigger than us, even like the crown chakra that, again, it's like that universal.
Above. And beyond.
Yes, absolutely. And then we move into the ring finger, which is earth. And I love to think about that as in our culture, we have, we wear our wedding rings on the ring finger. So it's like, this is my place of groundedness. This is like first chakra. This is my place of support in my home.
Yes.
So earth.
Root.
Yes.
Pachamama.
Yes. Yep. And then lastly, we have our pinky representing water. So when we, go with the flow, when we place their fingers with one another or in different placements, it really symbolically sends a message to the brain, And so, as I mentioned earlier, the index finger and thumb, ourselves connected with the world we live in. So pinky finger and thumb, fire and water, like this, like we need to find that balance in our life. We can't be too fiery. Sometimes we need to put out the fire with that water.
I think that's the emphasis of like finding vitality from within, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. There's thousands of mudras too. And, there's some that are very traditional, like you just mentioned, thumbs to the heart, Anjali mudra offering. And then, very traditional mudras. But there's also ones that I like to kind of incorporate into my own meditation that are like Patsy mudras that I make up a little bit.
I like that.
And in teacher training, I have my trainees make up their own mudras too to share with their new students and what it represents. Talk about it.
The metaphor, the meaning.
Yes, and why they chose that.
I think that is a very powerful tool. And we've talked about it in previous podcasts too, of like our hands are such a unique part of us because they are fascinating tools that can either, love and heal and support and cook and work and create. And then there's times that they can be tools of destruction, chaos, pain. And as we begin to explore embodying yoga, the idea of union and finding unity from within, then that will be an outpouring to our community. And I find that the mudras are just another way to bring more light and love into that. And to, it's an energetic seal. It's, something that you're placing with that intention behind it of, hey, whether you're making this up and being creative, I love that, or you're following something. One of my favorite mudras is the lotus mudra. Yes. And your base of your outer edges, your pinkies touch and your thumbs touch, and you expand your other three fingers, and it sits right at your heart. And this lotus, the idea of the lotus growing in muddy waters. And to me, I'm a very visual, kinesthetic learner. And so for mudras, it's like, it's just more tangible.
Yes.
And the metaphor becomes a lot more alive. And so I think of like, okay, I'm going to like peer into the depths of my being of like this lotus mudra and like, all right, what's beyond the surface?
Yeah.
What's underneath everything? And I think it just brings the, like, we keep talking about the mind-body connection, but it definitely is guiding, like slowly your mind to a different place that it may not reach without that extra tangible directive.
Yeah. I think it's another art form of our spirituality. It's another tool that we can use for our spirituality and our meditation. And man, I love that you brought up the lotus flower one, because that one's just gorgeous.
Yes.
I mean, we all go through mud and muck and, shitty waters. But how do we grow? How do we blossom like the lotus? How can we go to the sun?
Yeah, we need it. My other go-to mudra is unshakable trust.
That's what I was thinking.
Really? And I used that a lot last year. I was going through some change. So interlacing your hands and then placing your hands right at your heart and your thumbs pointing upward and just smashing your chest into your hands and smashing your hands back into your chest and just feeling that strong, tangible connection of like you're closing the circuit. The right and left side, it becomes closed chain. So you're just feeling even more connected. And and you can explore these mudras even in asana with your yoga poses.
Oh, yeah. It's really beautiful. I mean, you could do this in a high lunge. You could do this in a warrior too. Be creative with it, especially if you're a yoga teacher. I think that adds just another element, another level for your students to take home with them.
And like, even like, it doesn't necessarily just like, I'm sitting and I'm in meditation now, I'm going to do these mudras. Like, I would just encourage that it's not forced, that it's become something like more natural over time. Like for unshakable trust, like there's like, different times of life, like we're talking about going through like really shitty water and like what is fucking happening in life right now. And then there's times where we can be really in celebration and joy, and that is life, the ebb and flow. But like sometimes I'll be like at home and I'm like, I just feel the sensation of like anxiety or the unknown. I'm just like,
Yes.
Unshakable trust.
Yes.
And just, I'm not even in a yoga class. I'm not in meditation. Just like that tangible reminder, like, hey, I'm here. I'm present. Like, be with yourself.
Yeah.
And it is like this just like kind of this like energetic
shift.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just takes you back into reality.
Yeah. And it's helping yourself be your own teacher, having these tools of like, okay, I have this mudra that I can just bust out anytime that I need. And this, it's really cool too, is that yoga philosophy is really tied so closely with like everything, in yoga mythology. This is really the mudra of Ganesha, one of the mudras of Ganesha. And he is the deity of overcoming obstacles.
There you go.
So, having that unshakable trust that I'm going to get past this. I'm going to do this. And I love knowing the ties and bringing them back into my life. Okay, when I'm doing this, like remembering Ganesha, like this big old elephant.
Cutie patootie.
Yes, overcoming the obstacles. Since you shared too, I'd love to share one of my favorite mudras.
Go for it.
Yeah, so this is Hakini mudra, and that's
cute. I don't know this one.
The tips of your fingers touch, and you spread your palms. So it says, if you are holding an invisible magical globe between your hands.
I like that.
And this one is a reminder that all of the different facets of our personalities, your personality, it's all connected. And we're connected here when we are at work, when we leave and go home, and we're, mama bears, papa bears, and, our relationships with our friends. It's not like we leave work and we're a different person. It's like you are you at your essence, and it's all connected.
That reminder to like let go of the idea that we need to compartmentalize.
Yes.
And to be a little bit more transient in those transitions.
And to be yourself.
Yeah.
Wherever you go.
I like that. Hakini mudra.
Hakini. Yeah, I remember that because it rhymes with bikini.
Oh, I was thinking like Hakuna. Hakuna Matata.
Oh.
So that brings us into another tool that you will obviously experience. Maybe they don't use the word in yoga class, which is mantra. And you might, obviously, we talked about in the last podcast, chanting Om. That can be a short, beautiful little mantra to be said, to be shared and chanted. And their list goes on of mantras. And it is, to me, it's the same idea of this mental, emotional shift that takes you out of the present, maybe aggravation or confusion or frustration or uncertainty, or even just like being distracted, and just as like reels you back in. It's like, oh, actually this feels really good. Yeah.
And they could be, very traditional Sanskrit mantras, like or they could be, more English affirmations.
Yes, exactly.
But one of, I know, Christine's and my favorite traditional mantras, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings.
It's on my arm.
Yes.
If you're listening, you can't see it, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
May all beings everywhere be happy and free.
And this mantra is really personal and profound, I believe, because it was actually added at the end of the Ashtanga sequence. In Ashtanga, this traditional practice, it's a set sequence. In the beginning, there's a chant, an invocation that is basically honoring all the teachers before us, the practice at large, and how it's guiding us from darkness to our own light. And at the end, this the Mangala mantra is what Patsy and I just chanted. That was just a part of it. It's it's a few phrases longer. But that was added in 2001. Pattabhi Jois, who is known as the founder of Ashtanga Yoga, was actually in New York in 2001, right after the World Trade Centers were bombed. And he was there for an Ashtanga conference. And he was so inspired to invoke a prayer of peace for basically world leaders and to bring peace across all different cultures and barriers. And that's since then it's been chanted at the end of Ashtanga. I
It's
know.
so gorgeous. It's
I know.
so heartfelt.
Yeah. And it's just, and I think, whether you, you're like we talked about this before, like you're like, nah, I don't really want to chant Sanskrit. Like, what is that? I feel like that's not true to my like religious perspective or experience. It's just a prayer of peace. It could be, may all beings be happy and free of suffering, and may my words and actions contribute. And like, that is in its sense, instead of prayer, but it's also an affirmation of like, how are you going to choose to live your day? And like, our actions and our words have so much impact, not obviously on our own selves, but everyone we interact with. And so it's just setting that like mindset of like, it starts in your mind. Everything starts in your mind. It's a seed. And if you have that as like your foundation, it over time will be like more and more of your natural outpouring, right?
Absolutely.
I hope that happens for all of us.
Totally. And it's a butterfly effect, as you said. Like, it really starts, how do we talk to ourselves? And then start to use, more positive affirmations, more of these, or Sanskrit mantras, but it could be as simple as compassion, like reminding yourself compassion. And then it turns into, it goes from your thoughts, as you're saying, into your words. And then your words, it's that butterfly effect. Maybe that affects someone else's actions. It's huge. Like, these words that we use really have an energetic, place in the body.
Yeah. And I feel like, I think we talked about before when we were exploring the chakras in one of our podcasts, the last chakra exploration, Patsy and I led we co-led a meditation through the chakras, and we incorporated mantra, and English affirmation. And actually this morning I was doing a chakra visualization meditation, and that's exactly what I do. Is I'll go through all these different spaces in my body from like earth to crown, and I just whatever I'm feeling led to kind of affirm myself in, like I'm grounded, I'm secure, I'm creative, and I'm intimate, and I'm strong and powerful, and like really choosing to slow down and like take them in, absorb the words that you're saying, and feel how it impacts your body. And then observe. So you feel it, and then you observe the impact, and you notice it, and then the way you will walk through life is going to be different. And people see it or feel it. One of the
big time.
Yeah.
And a practice that I like to do with my mantra is also to use my mala, which is, you see, it's gotten like more popular, I feel like, in just fashion even. But it is a meditation tool. It's a necklace with 108 beads. And we might talk about more about the mala later, but it is just a meditation tool with these beads. And so I use my mantra, and I say that either to myself or even out loud. 108 times I go through it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. That's like my favorite meditation, probably.
And that's like literally rewiring your brain to direct something into something new. And it's interesting because is making me think about habits. And in order to replace a negative habit, it's not like you can just like be like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to eat cookies anymore. Like, okay, make some, maybe you're like, I still want cookies. So maybe like half the sugar, or like switch to monk fruit, or whatever it is, or like don't eat the cookies and eat like some celery and almond butter.
Right. Replace it.
Yeah, replace it with something positive. Actually, that sounds really good right now. Anyone? Okay. So replace it. Yeah. And so that's what I feel like mantra does, is like there's so many people, and us included, and every one of us, we have to fight our own inner battles. And usually that is can be criticism or judgment or guilt or shame or shoulda, coulda, woulda kind of mentality. And mantra and affirmation is a tool of meditation to be that positive habit of like, actually, no, I'm like really powerful, instead of feeling like, oh, I like suck, I'm weak, I can't do anything. It's like, no, I'm powerful, I'm proud, I'm present, I can do this.
And really, we're telling you that this can have profound meaning in your life, profound changes in your life, just to witness your own transformational growth of just by simply changing your own affirmations.
Yeah, it's wild. And I think you and I were talking about this too, like if you're like really like, I'm wanting to change, like I want to wake up, rattle myself a little bit, like, you know, I think we shared this before, but go into a mirror and say those affirmations out loud and like look at yourself and you're like, yes, you got this. You know, whatever it is, like you're fucking beautiful, you're amazing, you're powerful.
Badass.
Yeah, you are badass.
You are badass.
And that can be another tool too, is like group energy and group mantra.
Oh my God, it's huge.
And like saying it together and like hearing the power of multiple voices. And it, you know, that is that's profound. And you can, you know, feel that, like maybe even the little like chills on your skin, you know? Yes. Love it.
I do too. And if, you know, on the other side of that, if there's someone in your life that is not speaking, you know, highly of you or in a positive way, speaking to you positively, then, you know, get them the fuck out of your life. It's time to say goodbye. Like really cut out the toxicity because it's affecting you more than what you even think it would be affecting you. Even like knowing that that's affecting you. No, it's affecting you even bigger. I mean, that's like, like studies have shown like cancer's been, you know, started in, you know,
just through the mind.
Yes.
And that's why, you know, and if you start saying it out loud, maybe it just starts becoming more of your inner narrative too, of like, it's clearing those passageways. And so in life, when you are given situations, you'll hopefully be able to see with more clarity and see with more pure awareness, because a lot of times situations will come up in life and it's like so easy to be like quick to judge or quick to like assume. And and then when you take that time to actually reconnect, you know, then you're going to, from the mind, from that positive mantra, then you are going to be able to move with more pure awareness and not just the lies that we tell ourselves.
And the stories.
Yeah. Oh, they go crazy a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then you start telling yourself a true story.
Yes, really.
So our last word of the day. The word of the day. I like it.
Where's Mr. Rogers?
Oh. Shanti. Shanti's our last word. So Shanti is just a pure word of peace. And that's exactly what it means. Sometimes after that Mangala mantra, you end with Om Shanti 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 Him, which means Om peace, peace, peace. And I just think the word peace is said with intention, has deep cleansing, releasing, energetic, like a blanket, a wash kind of.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It is powerful. I mean, think about, you know, when even in a small quarrel, if someone says peace, you know, like just like stop and then like calm, you know, or like, you know, the Catholic Church, they shake hands every mass. Peace be with you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love that.
I do too.
And also with you, yeah. Yeah, it's like Shanti.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that just brings us back to the whole idea of yoga, of oneness, of being yoked, and seeing that. We talked about namaste last week, of seeing that love and light within each other. It's like, you know, across all of our differences and uniquenesses, like, what do we want more in this world? You know, do we want war and violence and hate and tearing people down? It's like, what does that actually, even just thinking about those things, like, like it just feels heavy and dark.
Yeah, like
right?
Literally, like I can feel my stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can start thinking about like just the power of peace.
And it starts with us. You know, I know that it might sound cliche or cheesy, but really it goes like back to Gandhi's quote of be the change you wish to see in the world. Like you beginning to bring peace into your own life. How can I do that? How can I bring peace into my friends' lives? How can I really be this sign of peace? It's, you know, as we talked just a minute ago, it's really going to have a profound impact on the world.
Yeah. And I just love that, you know, it goes back to that Mangala mantra and back to what was happening when that mantra started being spoken at the end of practice. It was like a time of just loss and horror and tragedy and a lot of pain and confusion and fear. And Patabi Joyce came in and was like, how do we fight that? And it's like, no, we don't fight it with fear. You know, we have to fight it with love and peace.
Yeah, you can't turn off the darkness with more darkness. You have to find the light.
Yeah. And you know, even in the darkness, like there's a crack, and that's how the light gets in. And so even when they're, you know, and it's, you know, you look at the world and you look at the news and you hear everything that's happening, it can be very overwhelming and daunting. And how can I do anything to really make a lasting change? And it's, well, first of all, like, I think it's about something I love about the practice of yoga is it does encourage us to make peace with ourselves.
Yes.
And so when you can make peace with yourself, like whatever, you know, situations you've gone through, whatever turmoil, whatever, you know, mistakes you've made or regrets you have, it's like, hey, I'm going to make peace with myself so that I can live in peace.
Yeah. And move forward, you know, with a clean slate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shanti, 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 shanti.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. We encourage you to, if you know, maybe it's the word shanti, or maybe there's another word that's really calling your name, English or Sanskrit, but we encourage you to find your own mantra for, you know, your next few meditation practices or yoga practices. At the end of the practice, when you say namaste, remind yourself of that mantra, or throughout your day. You know, when you're driving, it might be, you know, compassion, as I said earlier. It might be forgiveness, might be shanti. But I think that these tools can be really powerful. And maybe you even incorporate them into a mudra that you find, you know, unshakable trust. You know, maybe you start saying shanti with it. You know, I trust thou find peace. I trust that peace is all right here.
Yes.
I trust, you know.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it just, that it's something simple and short to redirect your energy.
Yes.
And to bring you back home to yourself instead of like the chaos of everything around you. And it's, hey, it's all right. It's all right, babe. You got this. You know?
Really. Hold yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So thank you so much for taking time to share this time with us and to hopefully expand your mind and your horizons in this ongoing yoga conversation. Until next time.
Namaste.
Namaste.